Dad's silent revenge.
My daughter-in-law sat at Sunday lunch and brazenly demanded $2 million for her dream luxury spa business. She thought I'd just hand it over like a typical comfortable father-in-law. Then my son slipped me a note under the table. "Dad, she's scamming us. Help." I smiled calmly and said just 2 words, the ones that instantly shattered her smug mask and turned her confidence to dust. "My name is Howard Sterling. I'm 62 years old, and I've spent the last 4 years in what most people would call a comfortable retirement here in Dallas, Texas. Before that, I was a federal prosecutor for 38 years, specializing in financial crimes and fraud cases. I've seen every con imaginable, or so I thought. Turns out the most dangerous ones don't come from strangers on the street. They come to Sunday dinner wearing a designer dress and calling you dad." That particular Sunday started like any other. The morning was crisp, typical for late March in Dallas. I'd been up early working on my hobby, restoring antique legal texts in my study. There's something peaceful about bringing old books back to life, carefully mending torn pages and rebinding cracked spines. It keeps my hands busy and my mind sharp. Glenn, my son, had invited me to lunch at the French Room in the Adolphus Hotel. He'd been married to Marlene for about 10 months now, and they had a beautiful 6-month-old daughter, Emma. When Glenn finally brought Marlene home to meet me about a year and a half ago, I was just happy to see him settle down. At 36, he'd always been careful about relationships, maybe too careful. His mother passed away when he was 25, and I think losing her made him cautious about opening his heart again. Marlene was striking, I'll give her that. Long, dark hair that caught the light perfectly, impeccable posture, the kind of woman who commanded attention the moment she walked into a room. She had this way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the world when she talked to you. During their engagement, she'd call me every few weeks just to chat, asking about my day, my health, my opinions on everything from the weather to local politics. I thought it was sweet how much she seemed to care about being part of our family. Her mother, Beverly, joined us for these Sunday family lunches occasionally. A woman in her late 50s with the same sharp intelligence as her daughter, though she packaged it differently. Where Marlene was warm and engaging, Beverly was more reserved, more calculating. She had this habit of watching people's reactions when they spoke, like she was filing away information for later use. I'd noticed it during family gatherings, but I figured it was just her personality. Some people are observers by nature. The drive to the hotel that Sunday morning felt different somehow. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something in Glenn's voice when he'd called to confirm lunch that made me pay attention. He sounded strained, like someone trying too hard to sound normal. When you've spent nearly 4 decades reading people in courtrooms, you develop instincts about when something's not right. The French Room was busy, as it always was on Sundays. Families dressed in their best, couples celebrating anniversaries, business people making deals over expensive wine. The maitre d' recognized me. I'd been coming here for Sunday lunch since my wife died 11 years ago. It became a tradition Glenn and I maintained, a way to stay connected after he moved out and started his own life. Both Marlene and Beverly were already at our usual table when I arrived. They'd ordered appetizers and were deep in conversation, heads bent together like conspirators planning something important. When they saw me approaching, they immediately brightened, all smiles and warm greetings. "Howard," Marlene said, rising to give me a hug. She smelled like expensive perfume, something French and floral that probably cost more than most people spent on groceries in a month. "I'm so glad you could make it. We have some exciting news about a business opportunity to share." The word opportunity made something in my prosecutor's brain twitch. In my experience, when someone leads with opportunity, they're usually about to ask you for money. I kept my expression neutral and took my seat, noting that Glenn looked pale and kept fidgeting with his napkin. I ordered my usual, a scotch, neat and the Sunday special, and settled in, expecting to hear about Glenn's recent promotion to senior project manager or maybe some good news about little Emma. Instead, Marlene pulled out a leather portfolio that looked like it belonged in a corporate boardroom, the kind of presentation folder that screams serious business and significant investment required. "Glenn and I have been researching investment opportunities," she began, her voice taking on a professional quality that seemed at odds with our casual family lunch. The transformation was subtle but noticeable. Gone was the warm, chatty daughter-in-law, replaced by someone who sounded like she was pitching to venture capitalists. "We wanted to discuss a fantastic opportunity with you," she continued, opening the portfolio to reveal page after page of glossy photographs and typed estimates. Each page was pristinely organized, with charts and graphs that looked like they'd been prepared by a professional marketing firm. The word opportunity again. My internal warning system was now fully activated, though I kept my expression interested and supportive. After 38 years of prosecuting financial criminals, you learn to recognize certain patterns, certain red flags. The overly professional presentation, the emphasis on opportunity rather than business plan, the way both women were watching my reaction carefully, it all felt rehearsed. "We found the perfect location for a luxury spa chain," Marlene said, warming to her subject. Her eyes had taken on a gleam I recognized from countless depositions, the look of someone who believes their story is bulletproof. "And we've determined that for the spa empire we envision, we'll need $2 million in startup capital." The words hit me like a physical blow. $2 million. I'd been expecting maybe a request for $50,000, possibly $100,000 for some small business venture. But $2 million, that was serious money. Life-changing money. The kind of sum that could wipe out someone's retirement savings in one stroke. I took a slow sip of my scotch, using the moment to study their faces. Marlene's expression was confident, expectant. She genuinely seemed to believe I'd just nod and agree to hand over that kind of money. Beverly was watching me like a hawk, her eyes calculating my every micro-expression. "That's quite specific," I said, keeping my voice neutral. $2 million, exactly. "Oh, it breaks down very precisely," Marlene said, flipping to a page covered with itemized expenses. "We've done extensive research. $800,000 for the flagship location in Uptown Dallas. Prime real estate doesn't come cheap, but location is everything in the wellness industry." She pointed to photographs of a sleek, modern building with floor-to-ceiling windows. "Then $600,000 for equipment and complete renovation. We're talking about creating something truly special, imported Italian marble, state-of-the-art hydrotherapy pools, massage chairs that cost $15,000 each." Glenn's hand was white-knuckled around his water glass. I glanced at him, noting the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept swallowing like his mouth was dry. This wasn't the excited energy of someone about to embark on a dream business venture. This was the body language of someone under extreme stress. "The remaining $600,000? I asked, though I was pretty sure I knew where this was going. "Marketing launch, staffing, and working capital," Beverly chimed in, her voice taking on that syrupy tone I'd learned to distrust. "Any successful business needs proper capitalization for the first 18 months. We've researched similar luxury spas in Dallas, Austin, and Houston. The successful ones all had substantial backing from the beginning." She pulled out what looked like a professional market analysis, complete with charts showing projected revenue streams and profit margins. Everything looked legitimate, polished, expensive to produce, but something about it felt off. The numbers were almost too perfect, too optimistic. "And you're sharing this opportunity with me because I asked, though I suspected I already knew the answer." Marlene leaned forward, her smile broadening. "Well, Howard, you've always been so supportive of our family, and Glenn mentioned that you've done well for yourself over the years. We thought you might want to be part of securing Emma's financial future." There it was, the emotional manipulation disguised as family consideration. Bringing Emma into it was calculated. What grandfather wouldn't want to secure his granddaughter's future? But demanding $2 million over lunch and calling it a family investment? That was something else entirely. Plus, Beverly added, "This isn't just about charity. This is a legitimate business opportunity. We've projected a 25% annual return on investment. Your $2 million could become $2.5 million by the end of the first year. 25% annual return. In today's market, that was either wildly optimistic or complete fantasy. Legitimate businesses rarely guarantee returns like that, and the ones that do usually come with enormous risk." I picked up the menu, pretending to study it while my mind raced. Everything about this felt wrong. The overly professional presentation, the specific dollar amount, the way they'd ambushed me with this at a family lunch instead of calling ahead to discuss it properly. Most telling of all was Glenn's obvious discomfort. "This is quite a presentation," I said mildly. "Have you considered what Glenn thinks about this investment level?" "Glenn wants our family to succeed," Marlene said quickly, her hand sliding over to cover his. He didn't return the gesture, didn't even look at her. "Don't you, honey? You want Emma to have every advantage in life." Glenn opened his mouth, started to speak, then stopped. He looked like a man walking through a minefield, terrified of saying the wrong thing. We've talked about wanting to build something for Emma's future." We've discussed how important it is for family to support each other. Marlene cut in smoothly. How, when people truly care about each other, they invest in each other's success. The manipulation was becoming more obvious by the minute. She was reframing this enormous financial request as a test of family loyalty, making it sound like refusing would mean I didn't care about my son and granddaughter. That's when I felt something brush against my knee under the table. Glenn's hand, passing me something small. I palmed it smoothly, a skill I'd picked up from watching countless drug deals in courtrooms over the decades. The paper felt small, hastily torn from something larger. "Howard, you seem hesitant." Beverly observed, her tone sharpening despite her attempted smile. "Is there something about the business plan that concerns you?" Just absorbing all the information, I said pleasantly, "It's quite a lot to process over lunch." Under the table, I carefully unfolded the paper Glenn had passed me, running my thumb over it to feel the indented letters. Whatever he'd written, he'd pressed hard enough to almost tear through the paper. I kept my eyes on Marlene as she continued her pitch, describing premium skincare lines and celebrity clientele, while my thumb traced out each word. When I'd deciphered the message, my blood went cold. "Dad, she's scamming us. Help." But I'd learned something crucial in 38 years of federal prosecution. The moment you show your hand is the moment you lose control of the situation. So I smiled, nodded at appropriate moments, and listened to Marlene's increasingly aggressive pitch while my mind processed everything Glenn had just told me in 6 words. "Dad, she's scamming us. Help." I looked at my son more carefully now, really looked at him. The dark circles under his eyes that I'd dismissed as typical new parent exhaustion. The weight loss I'd attributed to the stress of balancing work and a baby. The way his hands trembled slightly when he reached for his water glass. How had I missed these signs, but I knew how. I'd been so pleased that Glenn had finally found someone, so grateful that he'd given me a granddaughter, that I hadn't asked the hard questions. Questions like why a 33-year-old woman with no apparent career was living in a luxury apartment in uptown Dallas. Why every conversation seemed to circle back to money and status symbols. Why Glenn's circle of friends had mysteriously shrunk since he'd gotten married. "You're awfully quiet, Howard," Beverly observed, her tone carrying a sharp edge despite the attempted smile. I shifted my attention to her, seeing her clearly for the first time. Another detail I'd overlooked, the way she orchestrated these family interactions, always present, always managing the flow of conversation. This wasn't a supportive mother offering guidance to her daughter. This was a business partnership. "Just thinking," I said pleasantly, taking another sip of my scotch. "Thinking about what?" Marlene's voice had an edge to it now. The sweet, warm tone was cracking around the edges. "About whether your spa is worth $2 million. The silence that followed was electric. I could see Marlene's mask slipping, revealing something harder underneath. The anger when someone didn't immediately capitulate to her demands. I'd seen this exact expression before, in different contexts with different criminals, but the pattern was always the same. The escalating demands, the emotional manipulation, the way they prepared narratives to make anyone who questioned them into the villain. "I'm thinking about the details," I continued, my voice conversational. "All the details. What details?" Marlene's smile was becoming more forced by the second. "All of them." I set down my glass and looked directly at her. $2 million is a significant sum. I assume you have detailed contracts from all these vendors. Signed agreements. Proof of the quoted prices. The silence at the table was sudden and complete. I could hear conversations from other tables, the clink of silverware against plates, the soft jazz playing in the background, but at our table, nothing. Beverly recovered first, though her voice was slightly strained. "Well, naturally, we're still in the preliminary planning stages. So you're asking for $2 million based on estimates." I kept my tone matter-of-fact. No contracts, no guarantees, just projections. Marlene's cheeks were flushing pink. "It's not about paperwork, Howard. It's about trust. It's about family." "Actually," I said, leaning back in my chair, "when someone asks me for $2 million, it's absolutely about the paperwork." I could see her recalculating, trying to figure out which approach would work. The sweet daughter-in-law routine had failed. The family loyalty angle wasn't landing. Now she was moving towards something else, something more desperate. "Maybe this was a mistake," she said, her voice developing a slight tremor. "Maybe Glenn and I should just forget about providing financial security for Emma. Save everyone the trouble of having to make hard decisions about family." It was a masterful piece of manipulation, Make me the villain for asking reasonable questions about an unreasonable request. Paint herself as the victim who just wanted to build a better future for her daughter. Force Glenn to choose between his wife's dreams and his father's unreasonable demands. Glenn's hand jerked toward her, then stopped mid-motion. I could see the conflict written across his face, the desperate desire to fix this situation, to make everyone happy, even though he'd just told me she was running a con. This was the moment. I could let this play out, watch my son make a potentially catastrophic mistake. Or I could do what I'd done for 38 years in federal court, cut through the lies and force the truth into the light. I smiled. It was the same smile I used to give defense attorneys who thought they were being clever, right before I introduced the piece of evidence that demolished their entire case. "Prove it?" I said quietly. Marlene blinked. "What? Prove it?" "Prove that this spa actually costs $2 million. Show me detailed estimates from real vendors, with real company names and tax identification numbers. Show me signed proposals with actual dates and signatures. Show me anything that demonstrates this isn't just a number you pulled from thin air." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Beverly's eyes had gone hard, calculating. "You have 72 hours, I continued, pulling out my phone and making a show of setting a calendar reminder. 3 business days to provide documentation for every single dollar you're requesting. If this spa truly costs $2 million and represents a legitimate business opportunity, proving it should be simple." "This is insulting," Beverly hissed, her mask of southern charm finally slipping completely. "This is due diligence," I corrected. Something I should have been doing from the beginning. I stood up, pulled out my wallet, and placed $200 on the table to cover lunch. Then I looked directly at Glenn. "Son, I need to speak with you privately." Marlene's hand shot out to grab Glenn's arm. "Glenn, you don't have to listen to this. This is your father trying to control your life." "Yes," I said quietly, meeting her eyes. "He does have to listen, because this is my son, and I will not stand by and watch him be manipulated. Not anymore." The look Marlene gave me then was pure hatred. In that moment, all pretense dropped away, and I saw exactly who she really was. Not the loving daughter-in-law who'd been calling me every few weeks to chat. Not the devoted mother worried about her daughter's future. Just a predator who'd been caught in the act and was furious about it. I walked out of that restaurant with Glenn behind me, and for the first time in 4 years of retirement, I felt the old fire burning again. The thrill of the hunt, the pursuit of justice. Someone had tried to con my son and use my granddaughter as emotional leverage. They'd picked the wrong family. Glenn sat in my study for 3 hours that evening, and I watched my son unravel the story of the past 10 months like he was pulling apart a badly stitched seam. We sat in the leather chairs by the fireplace, the same chairs where I'd helped him with homework 20 years earlier, where we'd had the talk about his mother's cancer diagnosis, where he told me he was getting married. "It started so gradually," he said, staring at his hands. "Right after Emma was born, Marlene began talking about providing for our daughter's future, about not wanting to just be comfortable, but wanting to be really successful." I poured him a whiskey from the bottle I keep for special occasions and serious conversations. He needed it. "When did the specific money talk start?" "About 2 months ago." She showed me articles about successful spa chains, talked about how much money we could make. Said Beverly had connections in the beauty industry from her previous work. Beverly, I'd suspected something was off about their relationship from the beginning. Mother and daughter, but operating more like business partners. The isolation was so subtle I didn't even notice it happening. Glenn continued, "My college friends suddenly weren't good influences. Your Sunday dinners were cutting into family time with Emma. Before I knew it, the only people we saw regularly were Marlene and Beverly." Classic isolation technique. Cut the victim off from outside perspectives, from anyone who might raise uncomfortable questions. "What about money? Has she asked for specific amounts before today?" Glenn's face went pale. "How did you know? Lucky guess based on 38 years of prosecuting financial criminals. Tell me." "Car repairs after Marlene's accident last month. $8,000 for body work on her BMW. Then Beverly needed help with medical bills her insurance wouldn't cover. $12,000 for some kind of experimental treatment. And there was an investment opportunity in Beverly's friend's boutique that fell through. $15,000 and $35,000 in 2 months. And Glenn, desperate to be a good husband and father, had paid every time without questioning the legitimacy of these emergencies." "Glenn," I said carefully, "has Marlene ever asked you to transfer money to accounts that weren't clearly hers?" His face crumpled. "The boutique investment. She said Beverly's friend's business partner handled the financial side, gave me routing and account numbers to wire the money directly to their business account. I'd prosecuted this exact scheme in 2019. Different players, same playbook. The 72 hours I'd given her wasn't arbitrary. It was enough time for them to either produce legitimate documentation, which they couldn't, or enough time for them to panic and make mistakes trying to fake it. The next morning, I made a call I hadn't made in 3 years. Gerald Morrison, a private investigator who'd worked several of my cases when I needed information the legal system couldn't officially obtain. Howard Sterling, Gerald said when he answered, "Haven't heard from you since you retired. Missed the action?" Something like that. I need deep background on 2 women. Financial records, previous relationships, property holdings, criminal history if any. How deep are we talking? My son's wife and her mother, I think they're running a family investment scam, and I need everything you can find. Gerald whistled low. How personal is this? $2 million personal. How fast can you work? Give me the details. You'll have preliminary results by Wednesday. Over the next 3 days, Marlene's texts to Glenn became increasingly desperate. Still waiting for your father to apologize for his accusations. Then, the property owner is getting impatient. We need to move on this opportunity, or we'll lose it. Finally, I can't believe your family doesn't trust me enough to support our future. I told Glenn not to respond yet, let them sweat. The 72 hours passed with no documentation from Marlene, not a single vendor contract, not one signed proposal. Instead, on hour 71, she sent Glenn a message that was pure gold. Spoke with our spa consultant. She says verbal agreements are standard in luxury wellness. The detailed contracts come after the initial investment. You do trust me, don't you? Beautiful. She was creating a narrative where asking for proof became an act of betrayal, where due diligence became a failure of love and trust. On Wednesday, Gerald called with preliminary results that confirmed everything I'd suspected. Marlene Parker has been married twice before in the past 6 years, he said without preamble. Both marriages lasted less than 2 years. Both ended with significant financial losses to the husbands. We're talking about a total of over $400,000 stolen through fake business investments. What about Beverly? Classic criminal record. Credit card fraud, identity theft, insurance scams going back 15 years. Mother and daughter have been working cons together since Marlene turned 18. The trap I set was elegant in its simplicity. I called Marlene directly and told her I wanted to meet with her business consultant and see the proposed spa location. The address she gave me was in the design district, a space that had been vacant for 6 months. When we met there the next day, I brought along Edward Grant, a lawyer I'd worked with on several cases. The space was completely empty except for a folding table and chairs they'd obviously brought themselves. I laid out everything: Gerald's investigation, the financial records, the pattern of previous victims. The confrontation lasted exactly 12 minutes before Marlene's mask finally shattered completely. Your son was nothing special, she snarled. Just another mark with daddy issues and a trust fund. Edward had been recording the entire conversation on his phone. Within a week, I'd contacted the Dallas County District Attorney's Office. The Financial Crimes Division was very interested in a mother-daughter team running marriage investment scams across Texas. Charges were filed for wire fraud and organized criminal activity. Marlene took a plea deal minus 8 years in federal prison. Beverly got 12 years due to her extensive prior record. Glenn filed for divorce and got full custody of Emma. Marlene signed away all parental rights rather than face additional charges. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my study on a Sunday evening, watching 16-month-old Emma play with her toys on the carpet. Glenn's reading in the other chair, occasionally looking up to smile at his daughter's babbling attempts at speech. "Dad," he says quietly, "I keep thinking about that lunch. If you hadn't seen through it, you saw through it first." I remind him, "That note you passed me saved all of us." Emma crawls over and pulls herself up using my leg, grinning at me with her 4 new teeth. Looking at her innocent face, I feel that deep satisfaction that only comes from protecting the people you love most. When someone demands $2 million at your family dinner table, they should remember this. There might be someone there who spent 38 years learning to spot a con. Someone who knows that real love doesn't come with a price tag, and that the most dangerous predators are the ones who call you family. Sometimes the biggest threat to your family doesn't come from strangers. It comes from people who've already earned your trust and know exactly which emotional buttons to push. Professional expertise never truly retires. When someone you love is in danger, those hard-earned skills become the most valuable gift you can give.